Hello everybody! There are many of you crafters starting every single day, so I felt this is a good opportunity for me to pick one of my favourite products and take you through the process from start to finish. And whilst we're doing this, we can cover some techniques like blending, the kind of ink pads we need to use, the way to use an embossing folder, what not to do, and to give you a little bit of an insight into the Ulti-Mate tools that we have to offer. So let's pop these to one side just for a second and we'll talk through the tool first of all. I must say that you can do this without using the tool, but the tool makes your life so much easier. So please bear with me because the camera may zoom in and out because it's an automatic focus, and it's great when we're doing the demo, but sometimes when I turn my mat over and I show you the other side, it tries to focus quickly. So let me just show you very briefly the other side of this mat. So this mat is our silicone mat, which sits inside, see what I mean? It sits inside our multi-tool. This is 2mm thick silicone, and what this allows you to do, it allows you to use your cardstock without it moving. It's not sticky, so you can absolutely pick it up, but it stops that moving when you are doing your blending. Okay, so that's the mat that comes inside the Ulti-Mate 2, which is what we are using today. Both Ulti-Mates have the peg system. The Ulti-Mate 1 has a stamping platform and magnets. This one has no magnets at all, so it's great for those of you who can't work with magnets, but it also is good for people with a smaller desk, so you can turn it around and use it at whatever angle you wish. It's got the open end here, but it also has these elements inside. Now I'm lifting it here, so I'm going to let the camera focus gently. There we go. And in here we have something which is very cool, and I'm going to lift it out. Let me make sure it both comes out here. So this is back to basics for those of you who've not seen the tool. And in here, so these slide open. They do come off as well. If you pull too hard, don't worry, it slots straight back in. And then on the reverse, let me just show you this. This is, I need to explain this as well. This is our scoring tool. It's not a scoreboard to make your envelopes and everything, because these are separate rulers. These do not relate to this. This is just a 1/8 of an inch scoring groove all the way along for you. So if you need to do any scoring, you want to create checkered backgrounds or anything else, we put this on the back because it was a blank space and we wanted to fill that blank space with something very usable. And you'll see these marks I've made on mine, and that's just to show you these are scored at 1 inch. And you'll see here that that one doesn't line up with that one. It's never meant to. These are just your rulers for your own personal use. Okay, so remember, 1/8 of an inch each scoring line, 3 rulers on the back. But going back to the front, where most of the action takes place, is on the peg system. Mine's very grubby and very dirty. It's very well loved. You can see the ink everywhere, but you know, it all wipes clean. It's made of a strong plastic, and it's going to be just something that stays on your desk all the time. It comes with this fabulous die. Okay, this is your peg partner die. So if you have a stencil from another brand, for example, pretend this was a stencil, what you could do, you could take our die, pop it into the edge of your stencil, run it through your die cutting machine. It will cut through up to 250 micron mylar, and then you can pop it onto your pegs and use it as it is. If you find you have a stencil that has the detail that goes right around the edge and you can't get the die into any area, take a piece of card or a piece of acetate, cut your hole, trim your card to where you want it to be, and attach this to the edge of your stencil using some low tack masking. That will then allow you to position it wherever you want on your tool. Okay, also this tool is very useful if you're a colorist. You can do your stamping down here, you can put your holes in the top, and you can literally pop them over the top, and then that keeps your paper in position for you. And it also works if you are using the Ulti-Mate for just doing some ink blending if you want to. So you can put the holes in, your card's not going to move everywhere, So that's a really useful little tool that comes with the product. Now, not only does it come with that, it also comes with your, oh, I keep taking mine off so I can show you and I don't put it back on properly. So this is a screw fix on the end, and this gives you your pickup tool. So if you're picking up your gems, or if you're picking up your small pieces of die cut, you've got that piece, okay? And I always keep that in there, but I leave it off to show you. And then the other end, we have our stylus. So if you want to do those scoring marks, you absolutely can on the back. If you want to change your nib, you can pull this out quite easily, replace it with another one of a different size. There's a larger one in here as well, and a smaller one, and you get a pokey tool as well. And what I really like about this is because it's fitted inside and popped on, you know, some pokey tools you lose that end, don't you, and it comes off. Never going to happen with that because it's embedded inside. So that is the other piece of genius that comes with the Ulti-Mate 2. These elements don't come with the Ulti-Mate 1, but you do get the benefit of the stamping platform should you need it. But both of them, as I say, come with this peg system. So you're on a win-win, whichever one you decide to purchase. And you also get the silicone mat in both of them. The Ulti-Mate 1 also comes with a lovely stencil brush as well, and they both come in a beautiful storage bag, so you can take it on the go as well. But what we're going to do now is we're going to dive straight into the start of the process using the layering stencils. So I'm going to grab this one, which is one of my favorites. This is the beautiful, beautiful Crocus. It is just lovely. And it doesn't have too many stencils in this one. For a beginner, it only has 4 stencils. Some of our systems go up to 12 stencils. You don't need to use 12 stencils if you don't want to. Some of them, you know, you can do certain areas, you can cherry pick what you want, but a lot of them, it's advisable to go from number 1 right to the last stencil to give you the most amazing depth and dimension. Each of our stencils are numbered. So when you get yours home, yours will have a number, and I'm going to show you now on this one here, in this corner here. I'm going to try and bring it up. You can pick it up. There's a number 1. If you have eyesight issues or you think you're going to find it tricky to remember, take a black Sharpie or a pen of your choice, which is permanent, and mark 1, 2, 3, and 4 on your stencils. Okay, you can do this whatever way round you want. Now, when you look at this stencil, when you pop it down, number 1, it will look like it's upside down, and that is because on the packaging we have to pop it like this to show you. So the pegs are down the side. And if I turn it to where the pegs are that match my pegs, it's upside down. If you prefer, you can rotate your Ulti-Mate 1. Oh, sorry, Ulti-Mate 2. You can't really do this with the 1 because it has got a stamping platform. But you could actually turn it upside. You probably actually, yes, you could. Let me show you the Ulti-Mate 1. Just while I'm here. So this is the Ulti-Mate 1. That open. So you actually, yes, you could turn it around that way, and you could open it from that side if you want to and have your pegs at the bottom. But for this one, I'm going to turn it this way so you can see better, and I'm going to move the platform up a little bit so I'm right in your eye line, and I'm going to pop my other stencils here because this is, I find it easier to do this. Now, what I would suggest is you turn your stencils so they face the same way. So when you pop it on and pop it off, you're going to be in the same position. Make sure everything's lined up. I've got my paper. I've butted that to the corner. If you feel you're still not comfortable, you can most certainly take a piece of masking, low-tack masking, pop it down. You can see it there, just there. So it holds everything into position. So we're ready to go. That's all you need to know. A little bit of a daredevil. And I'm going to pick some colours that make you work a little bit harder almost. So this is our first layer. And what you can now do is you can take your stencil and you can look and you can say, okay, well, what do I have on this piece of mylar here? What element do I have? And I can see I've got this big floral element here. If I put a piece of black card underneath, it's easy to see. Look, let me pop that just underneath there. You can see. So I've got this element here. Yeah, you can see the little circle there. So I know that's going to be a darker purple color. And I leave that there. Bring this down a little bit so you can see what I see. So now we're on stencil number 1, and we know that that's going to be a dark purple. So I'm going to move that out of the way for a second, and we've got our dark purple here. So we've got our inks, and these are release 1 of our blending inks. And I'm going to come in with a blending brush. If you have blending brushes of your own, that's absolutely fine. But these brushes are fabulous. So these are our wonderful wonder brushes. And they have these beautiful heads with all of these bristles and a domed head. And they also are flexible, very flexible. So this means if you hold your brush further back, you'll get a lighter finish. You hold your hand closer to the top and you're going to get a heavier finish because you can put more pressure on. So I'm going to come in with the Spiced Plum, which is the most beautiful purple. And we use our stencil almost as a mat as well to tap off any excess ink. So I always take my ink, pop that down there. I take my ink, I pat off any excess, and then I move my hand back and I lightly go over the top of my cardstock. Don't rush, don't press too hard. Try not to kind of jog your stencil because there are some areas on the stencil, you'll see in a moment, I grab that ink there, you'll see in a moment that are quite delicate. So you have to be a little bit careful. Now, I'm not worried that I've gone off the edge here because I'm going to trim my card down. If you wanted the full element, make sure your card is wide enough to cope with all of it. So look at this. This is heavier. I'm going heavier because I'm closer to the top. Look at that. Look at the difference. So now I'm confident. I'm going to go heavier all the way along, dabbing off, and then all the way along down here. And you keep going until you've completed the whole layer. And you see, look here, see this bit lifts? See that lifts? So when you do this area, again, dab off, but ink away from it, yeah, away from it, so you're not going against it. If you go against it, you're likely to get areas that are going to lift because you're going to get your brush caught underneath, okay? Don't worry about going over your pegs. You can clean them off afterwards. And then you do all of this. I'm doing this in real time for you. So if you're new to crafting, this should be a really in-depth video that you can follow from start to finish, potentially in real time. So a little bit more down here. And then we're going to come to this side, grab some of that ink that's there. Just be gentle. Use up all of that ink. Don't worry about whether it's heavier in some areas and lighter in others, because it will add to the beauty. You wait and see. Just this one layer will make you so happy. And you'll think, wow, what is the next layer going to bring? So over here, I feel that's a little bit too light. Let's add a little bit more ink there. And I've completed. Corner, lift up. Look at that. It's irrelevant how many colours you've got on there. It's irrelevant how dark it is in some areas and how light in other areas. Please never worry about that. Now, we're going to go in with our second stencil. If you wanted to, you could stick with the same colour and you could just press lightly all over so you get a tone of the purple. But I'm going to be a little bit more of a devil. And I'm going to bring in a pink. And this is one of my most favourite colours. This is Sugar Candy. It's well loved. It's a dirty ink pad. It's just been used within an inch of its life. So I think it's probably one I go to the most. Now I'm going to dab off any excess of that purple. I'm not too worried because there's not much on there. And I'm going to come in with the pink. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap off again. And we'll do the same thing. We'll start light. And we'll go over the top. You can see how pretty that is already. Over the top. Pick up some of that ink. Bring that in here. And then when you're comfortable to go a little bit heavier, you absolutely can. So I still haven't moved my hand down. So I've got the light finish to my card. And then over here, let's grab these little corners. Again, tapping off. As you can see, it's just a habit. You tap off before you go on to the areas that you want to ink. Also, don't worry about going off the edge because we're trimming it down anyway. Now I've moved my hand in. Now I've got the confidence to go in further and further and be heavier and heavier. Again, if you want to leave it like this, you can, but I do quite like the different tones that you can build in. And I'm going to challenge you in a moment. You don't have to do this next step. So you can skip past this next step if you want to. I want to show you a little trick and something really lovely that you can do to make this even more beautiful than it already is. So let's take that pink away for a moment. Bear with me. Lift it off. How absolutely delightful is that? Now what you can do to give this even more dimension is put the stencil back on, and the beauty of the Ulti-Mate is, it doesn't matter now, you can put it straight back on. Straight back on, and there is no issue about lining anything up at all. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in with a blending brush. This is a clean one, and I've got the grey. If you feel this is too much for you, do not worry about this stage at all. This is something you might want to build up to. And I take the brush, put my grey on, and I tap almost all of that grey off, almost all of it. And then I'm literally going to come in. So you don't want hardly any ink. I'm going to come in around the edge. See that? I'm going to come in around the edge. Any edge that you can get to, pick some of that ink up. Around the edge again. Around here. And I feel like I haven't got much ink left. Take off what I need. And then round the edge again. And I'm going to do half first, and I'm going to show you the difference. Let's do this flower. Again, put your ink down. I'm going to show you how different it looks. Come over here. Let's do this one here. Try not to get carried away though, because if you get carried away, you're going to have some really dark areas. I like it quite dark, and I know, you know, I've done this quite a few times, so I know how dark I'd like it. But when you first start, just be mindful that less is more. Okay, so compare this to what we've just done. Can you see the dimension that you start to get on your flowers? So you can do it if you want to, but you don't have to. I just really enjoy this stage. So I'm going to do it just around here, just along here and here. And then down on this flower and just down here, not too much. Because I don't want it looking really heavy. I just do like, but I do want to make sure that I can see that shading. So I'm just going to hop back over here to some of these areas, like that one, and potentially this one as well, just down the side, and here, and this one needs a little bit more, as does that one. And I think, oh, I missed that one there. but it doesn't matter because you can always go back in if you need to. Dimension. So we've only done 2 stencils and look at what we have created already. Isn't that quite amazing? Just that little bit of black changes it completely. You can do it on all the layers if you want to, but it does look really good on the black. Now you saw I caught that, didn't I? Caught that, and I caught my ink pad underneath. Pop that back down, and layer 3 will make sure we're in the right position. Yeah, that's fine. So by popping it in the corner, you can't really get it wrong. Now this is going to give us all of our, well, it's more of the, and not antennae, what are they called? The bits in the middle, anyway. So what I'll probably do with that, I'll come back in with the purple, I think, that we had before, and I'll pop those over the top, because this is never going to be a bright card. This is always going to be like a beautiful muted tones. And let's, what's that purple one, wasn't it? And then again, and then we can pop the colour. It's really dark because we need to be darker over the top. Take all that ink that's there. I mean, you could do yours really pale and then give the let the stamens be yellow. That's the word, stamens. But for this, we're just going to keep them purple. It's artistic license, isn't it? I kind of like that as it is quite nice and dark. Oh, they're lovely, aren't they? And then last stencil. So what I'm going to say to you now is, again, another little bit of a trick. You don't have to do this at all. Now, I can see that this has moved very, very slightly. So lift that off. And the best thing to do is, if it has moved, go back underneath, pop it in that corner, and I can see just there, I didn't put the card back right in that corner. So that is way better. I didn't butt it up to that corner enough. Okay, so now final stencil, blue and yellow. What is she thinking, you say? So we take the yellow and we use our yellow on all these pieces. Again, dab off and then pop our yellow down. Dab off if you want. I don't feel that I need to anymore because I'm now on the 4th stencil and I'm quite confident with what I'm doing. And then look at that and you think, oh, she's got yellow leaves. No, we don't. We pop that back on, and because our ink pads are blending and I wanted a nice bright colour, we're going to take the blue. This is the purple brush, and I'm going to wipe off anything that's on there. It's got a little bit of blue on it anyway. And then we're going to wipe off, and then with what's left of the blue, we're going to go right over the top. So when you mix blue and yellow, what do you get? Of course, you get green. And you get a nice vibrant green, because I've used a vibrant yellow and a vibrant blue to pick up some of that colour. And there we go. Look at that. How wonderful is that? So that is the first part of the system. And you can make choices now. So what you can do now is you could get your, let me bring in the die. Let me open the die for you and show you. So your dies will always come with your embossing folder. They will never come with your stencil. So it just gives you an extra layer of ability when you get that embossing folder. So what you can do now, if you want, finish with that, take that tape off for now. And all you would do is you would lay that over. Obviously mine's gone off the edge because I chose to just do a portion of it. And you can lay that just like so and cut that element out completely. So how wonderful would that be? The other thing you can do is you can now emboss this. So we might decide, okay, well, we'd like the card embossed. So what we do is we take our element and we take our trimmer and we trim the card down so it fits inside that embossing folder. And we're going to trim here. You'll see, because that you might have a little bit of ink around the edge like I have. I'm actually going to trim that off so we don't have a white edge. Trim that down. And we're even going to trim off this base. So now that embossing, can you see that's a card on its own? How stunning is that? Let me pick up a piece of black card for you and pop it underneath so you can see how wonderful that looks. Let me move all these pieces out of the way. We'll use that in a second, so I'll leave it just there. If we bring in a piece of dark cardstock, I know it doesn't fit, but start thinking about how wonderful that's going to look when that's matte and layered. What a beautiful card in its own right. But for today, something a little bit different. We're going to emboss this in our folder. So again, I'll take that piece of black card and I'm going to pop it underneath so you can see what I want you to do. So you're going to take your folder and make sure you've got it the right way. So this little thing points down like this little one does. You don't want that side because you're thinking, that doesn't work. You'll turn your card around and you'll think, well, that doesn't line up because that's going the opposite way. All you need to do is turn your folder over. So we're going to take our folder and we're going to take our artwork and we're going to put it inside and we're going to take that circle and we're going to line that up. And then we're going to wiggle around until we're happy that everything's lined up. Now, this cannot be a perfect science simply because the cardstock will bend, the cardstock will move, the cardstock is going to be kind of reshaping itself as it goes round into that folder. So remember, this is never going to be a perfect science, but golly, when you do get yours lined up roughly where it should be, you're going to see an incredible result. So I'm using my Spellbinders Platinum machine. We can use the Big Shot as well. The Big Shot likes you to remove one cutting plate from my folders. Pop this in here. Keep this away from this edge. Please, if I can give you any recommendation, take it away from that edge. You will crack your hinges. Bring it down, twist. So I've got my A plate, my F plate, and my D plate, which is my adapter plate over the top. So I'm going to take this. Let's bring in our die cutting machine so you can see this all in real time. Sorry, that wiggled a bit then, didn't it? That was my fault. Dropping that down. Run this through like so. It's going through really nicely. Any pressure, anytime you have to put too much pressure on it, stop. It means you have the wrong sandwich. And always refer to your manufacturer's instructions. Turn this around. I'm going to lift this out and I'm going to show you. I don't know if you can see already how deep that embossing is. So how delightful does that look? As I say, it's not a perfect science, but golly, what a result. What a result. So now all you're going to do to create a card is, and again, real time, so I need to find my black cardstock. I don't need a whole piece, we only need a small piece. And what we're going to do now is lay that like so. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And I think what I will do is, I find it easier to pop this like this into my machine so I can get an idea of what I want. I think I'm going to want it roughly like that. And that's as tricky as it gets for me. And I'm going to look again. I'm going to pop that down. Okay, so I want that around that size. And I'll turn that around and I'll pop that through. And I think it will sit around there. If it doesn't, we'll just trim a little more off. Let's have a look and see if we're happy or not. It might be too much, might not be enough. No, I don't think that's too bad at all, do you? So all you need to do now is glue this down, and I'm a bit of a stickler for a 3D foam pad, so I'm just going to turn this over, grab my foam pads. Hang on a second, what am I doing? There we are. Grab a few like that, and actually a couple here, always in the middle. You do not want your card to dip. So actually two there. You don't need to put two on. I just like to put two on because I feel that it gives a little bit more stability. And then we peel these off at the end. Put them over there for a second. 1, 2, 1, 2, and these two over here. Isn't that noise satisfying? I love doing this. Then you bring your card in. Now, of course, I can't stand up and get overhead, so apologies if I'm not perfectly straight, but you can do this much better at home. I'm kind of eyeballing it on my camera, actually, looking ahead of me rather than down. And pop that down like so. So that's a little bit wonky, but not too bad. It's a little bit wider there. So I, again, real time, as I said, we'll do it all and we will trim that off. Don't worry too much about it being foam padded. That's fine. And then you take, that's a DL. I've got a DL in my cupboard. So again, like I say, let's do this for you as I would be doing it at home. And it doesn't fit because I've made it. Look at that, I've made it bigger than the card. But how about, now let's turn this over. Let's turn this over and grab our tool. And I feel what we could do, wrong end. I feel maybe, yeah, let's go around there. Let's go around there. Should have used a wider ball tool, but that's fine. And pop that back in. So we've now made like a easel, an easel card. See what I mean? So literally fold that like so. There's your easel. That's like that, and then that will sit like so. And we can glue that to that. Excellent. So we're actually going to create a complete card now. And I'm thinking I'm going to need a black strip across the bottom here. So what we can do is take a piece of this card. Let's get our trimmer. So you can create this just like I've done. Okay, and then potentially let's take another one of these DL cards, and I'm going to trim a piece off about that, which is a bit smaller than that black. So take this card. No, let me turn that over because the camera won't like that at all. And let me see, I've got my glue here. Actually, I'm going to take the lid off of this one because this is an older glue and I don't want a lot of glue on the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my finger just to pop some glue. I only want a small amount of glue, you see, across this. Okay. And I'm hoping that I haven't put too much on and I've lined it up properly. Yeah, that's great. See what I mean? It just gives me that tiny amount of glue. That's my glue is the high tack glue. You need a very, very tiny amount, and I didn't want it all squirting out there. So let's leave that like that. And then we're going to come back in, decide where we want that to sit. So I feel that I want that to sit around that mark. So we take our foam pads again. Anything to use more of these pads because I love taking the backs off. another one here, but I'll put one there and one there, and then we'll have that lovely peeling noise. And another one here. So bring that card back in. Again, you can be more careful when you do yours. So that's going to be that, yeah. And then we can take this one and we can pop that right in the middle there. I'm just going to use my finger on the back just here, because I want just a small amount of glue, because I don't want it across the whole piece. So again, you can obviously use your nozzle, but sometimes for me, I find just using my finger gives me a little bit more control. And I'm going to pop that around there. So that's in the middle. And because you have such a little amount of glue, it grabs faster, okay? So that's now going to be adhered as much as I need it to be. And I can lift that up for you. Obviously, you'll have to put a sentiment on yours. And you can see how that sits beautifully. Let's move that out of the way. And I'd highly recommend you take a sentiment straight in the middle. Let's see if I've got a different colour. I've got a ton of sentiments in here. Actually, that's quite nice, isn't it? In the pink. In the pink. You're the best friend ever. So we can then decide, do we want to put it across here or down here? I think I quite like it down here, actually. This is one of our sentiments from our Modern Florals kit, and it has sticker sentiments. So you can take the back off. And actually, I'm going to have a change of heart, and I'm going to pop it just in the middle. Now, of course, as I said, I don't want to lean over, but you can line that up better. Let's look at that like so. And then I'll lean that back for you so you can see. It's difficult with an easel, isn't it? That is your finished easel card. So a very quick card, actually. So that it was more me messing around and deciding I wanted to change it up a bit. But you can absolutely create the most amazing looking card. You can use just your layering stencils and your embossing folder. We haven't die cut this one out, but we can do that in a separate video. So I hope you enjoyed that. That was our 3D embossing folder using our wonderful Crocus. So please make sure you subscribe to the channel for more upcoming content. We're going to start doing a release of videos for beginners and people who are new to our products. So if you'd like to follow us, it will be great. Hit that subscribe button and you'll be notified of all the upcoming videos and all the content we share from both myself and my amazing design team.